Hey everyone, Anthony here, one half of the dev team over at Center Still Studio working on Valley of Shadow. However, what I'm doing right now is a first impressions playtest, which I always love to do for other independent video game developers. I just usually scour Reddit on the Play My Game subreddit, and I find just anything I like to play, anything that's available for PC, and hopefully for download. Sometimes I'll do in-browser games, but this one I'm doing today is downloaded. It's called Strategic Depth by Nikita Cotter and also Charlie Gillies, who is 1/5 of the dev team that did the box. Which I also did a playtest and uploaded to YouTube. Sound designer McCall or Pukata. Sorry, I know I'm mispronouncing the names here. I'm just an ignorant American. Sorry. Anyway, I'm doing this as a looks like it's a strategy game, real-time strategy, a tower defense war game, where structures have a realistic line of sight and limited ammunition. So we're gonna check this out. So the first thing that I'm gonna bring up, a little bit of coffee. The second thing I'm gonna bring up is controls. So I haven't even opened the game yet. It's always a little bit intimidating to get such like detailed or in-depth controls and control schemes just right off of the bat outside of the game. What this tells me, just as a developer, but also as a player, is that it's not really going to teach me in the game how to use it, right? So that's I want to bring that up more and more because I see that a lot from players. One thing I've learned just doing like 10 years of game development with myself and my brother is the difficulty of making the control schemes elegant. It's sometimes very difficult for real-time strategy games. You have a lot going on under the hood, and it's very difficult to make it simple, either using a controller or a keyboard. I totally understand. I totally sympathize and empathize. But I think what I would like to see more and more, just as maybe a player, but also doing these play tests, is like some kind of introduction for the player into the control scheme, rather than having to go outside of the game as though I'm like looking through an old Nintendo, like instruction booklet. You want to take as much of that information and put it inside the game as possible, and then wrap the game around it so you can just kind of slowly feed it to the player. That's extremely difficult. That's the hard part. From a dev perspective, looking at this, I totally understand why. Like, it's basically a proof of concept for a game. I know going in, looking at this, this is going to be a proof of concept. You might think it's like a full game you're going to start with, but from a dev perspective, I would highly suggest looking at this as a POC rather than level 1 of your game. I think that you need to try to make the controls elegant for the player so you don't intimidate the player going in, because that's the first thing I think right off the bat when I see the controls on the Itch.io site. I know going in, I don't know for a fact, I don't know for certain, but I can kind of intuit going in that you're not going to give me the controls inside of the game. You very well may, and I'm gonna find out. But seeing this kind of tips me off to that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not even gonna look at, like, I'm looking at this, but I'm not even gonna memorize it. I'm gonna go into the game as a fresh player that doesn't want to deal with any outside information. Just like most, think of how you like to play a game. You like to play a game just going in and everything's kind of intuitive. Like not like chess where you have to, okay, what does this piece do? Oh, this is the rook and it only moves. Okay, so it can move all the way across and all the way down. Okay, this is the bishop, it can only move. So take that, as many rule sets as you can, and make it so the player can learn them, hopefully by playing around. That's just my first piece of advice right off of the bat. Just looking at this, not even my first piece of advice. That's not my advice. That's my feedback. Looking at this, I'm telling you exactly how I feel just looking at it. I don't even want to memorize it. I know it's important. I want to see how much of that you actually put in the game. How much of that importance did you owe to yourself? That you gave to your game. Like how much of that is actually in the game. So let's go find out. Let's. Did I already boot it up? No, I did not. Okay, I hope that made sense. That doesn't knock anything that you did. Like I said, I haven't even opened it yet, so let's take a look and see how it plays. So I'm gonna go in Windowed, Graphics Quality Default. All right, let's go ahead and I'm gonna minimize that because I might have to bring it back up just to check the actual controls while I play. Let's turn up this music. This is already beautiful. Oh, the mouse is outside. Battle. Ugh, my mouse is moving around. Hold on. Damn. All right, I might have to full screen it. My mouse is moving around. That's annoying. All right, let's try this again. That's what Unity loves to do sometimes. I have to make a full screen. Let's go 1280 by 720. Let's try this again. All right, so this is going to be a full screen. Hopefully the frame rate stays relatively smooth here. It's not you. It's gonna be my recording stuff. All right. God damn. My mouse is still outside of the game. What is going on? Which means it's going to be clicking on stuff. What is going on? Okay, so double check. I don't know what's happening. Hold on. So my mouse is outside of the actual game itself. Hold on. Okay, B resume X. Wait. Okay, hold in space. Okay, I like that. Oh wait. Oh man. I'm already running into issues with the controls. Hold on. Okay, so control is equal to B, it looks like. Let me see. So what I'm trying to do is I pause the game from the main menu and I want to completely exit out, but you're giving me the controls for the controller. So this is why it's difficult. This is why control schemes are frustrating, and you have to be very careful. That's what I've learned from play tests and iterations is watching the players just fumble with the controls is like, oh, I have to make that more elegant. I got to make that more intuitive. I'm like looking at, so all I want to do now is just kind of exit out of the menu. So if I hold in space, that is A. Cool. So B for your controller says it's the control button. So if I escape and I see B to resume, I hold in control and nothing happens. So again, I could just be a complete moron, which is perfectly fine. You want people to play the game that, you know, maybe don't just get it, doesn't click right away, so you can see kind of all of your test cases. So I'm not exactly sure what to do besides just completely right-clicking and exiting out of the game. So double check that. So the reason I'm doing that is because when I bring the game up in window, my mouse is still moving across into my other monitor, and I know it's going to just be clicking on stuff outside of the game. I don't know why it's doing that. We have some issues with that as well, but I'm not the coder. I do the art and the game design, and I do half of the level design with my brother, who does all of the UI and coding for windowed mode and full screen mode for our games. So right now the mouse should not be moving around. Okay, so it's not moving around, but when I move over, it's still on the other screen. That's not going to work. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to hope that this works. So I'm using my mouse. So it says it's loading. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, there we go. Rotate left and right. So again, you're using this is really frustrating because you're assuming I'm using a controller. And again, I have to look out of the game. So I haven't even played the game yet. Rotate left is left trigger. What is left trigger equal? Q or E? Okay. So you should not, like, if you're going to have the dual, you need to find a way to detect what I'm using. I'm not sure how to do that. You're either going to have to do that via code under the hood, or you're going to have to give me an option right out of the gate. Are you using this or that? Select one. Otherwise I have to look outside of the game for it. Okay. It's pretty cool. It's already pretty cool. I'm just having issues. I don't know why it's doubling up there. I don't know what's a glitch and what's not at this point. So now what do I do? Click. Space. I'm not sure what's happening. Like it's really pretty. Like it's really enticing me. I want to play. I just don't know. How do I move? Let me see. WASD? I don't know what's happening. You get hints up, start wave right, wave info left, and yeah. Okay, I haven't even played the game yet, and already I really want to play it, but I just don't know what's going on. Yeah, controls are tough. So this, again, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Alright, let me see. The game is playable with almost any combination, blah, 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 blah. The game supports local co-op. I mean, it's super enticing. I really want to play it. How do I get past this? Somebody else already did it, right? Other people have commented. It says controls are cool. If I can get... Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Let me try one more time before I completely give up on it. Barrier of entry is always this. I mean, it makes sense to me that this is happening though. As a player, it's frustrating. As a developer, I understand the difficulty in this. Why did I not do windowed last time? Let's try this again. Oh, because my mouse was out. So if my mouse is just going to be out anyway, I'm just going to do it in windowed. Okay, let's try this again. So strategic depth. So Q and E, rotate left and right. Yeah, you see my mouse floating outside. That's going to be an issue. Okay, so I have this. That was interesting. So I guess I had to rotate to get that clicked on. It's cool though. I mean, it's definitely cool. So I'm playing around with it. It's definitely cool. I just wish the controls were inside of the game. I wish you would give me an option to select, are you on mouse or keyboard? That way I don't have to do the work. So you don't want the player doing the work of figuring out how to play your game. So you're already assuming I'm using a controller. So you're favoring the controller over the mouse just by giving me the controller options. That's what it's telling me. So instead of that, pull out of that and give me the option to select one or two. If I select one, give me that UI. If I select two, give me that UI. Do the work so the player doesn't have to do the work. Because you'll get some players that just are like, oh, I don't even know how to play. Like, why did I spend money on this, right? Or why am I spending my time doing this and like plowing through the controls when I could play a game that has easier controls? And again, these are all lessons I've learned the hard way by giving people stuff that's like, I didn't do the work for them. I offload that onto the player. You don't want to do that. Difficulty, okay, cool. So this feels great. This feels good. I love how it slides around. The graphics are great. It's a really awesome art style. Whoop. Okay, so WASD does move that, so I don't even need the mouse, which is fine. Campaign is not available in the demo version of this game. So is this just a demo version, or is this like again like a proof of concept? Okay, here we go. So let's just try. Okay, campaign is not available. Got it. Wait. So how did I mess up the first time? Let me bring it up one more time. How did I get stuck on that one screen the first time? What did I click or not click? I'm wondering what I did. So it comes up, strategic depth. I don't click anything. It comes up and it starts loading. So it's loading. I don't click anything. and it should load directly to that screen, right? So I think that might have been a glitch where like if I click something, I'm just gonna let it. I'm not gonna touch anything because I think I got stuck in a loop actually, thinking it was something else, but it was just stuck on the loading screen, I think. So I think there might be an error here somewhere. I think something's happening with the loading screen. Let me try it again. Again, not clicking anything. My hands are completely free. I just want to see what happens here. Loading. Boop. Okay, so loading. So it loaded, but nothing loaded, right? So I think this might be a glitch. Okay, I'm not gonna touch anything. I wanted to load through to go through the thing. Maybe I should just reinstall the game, kind of. I guess maybe re-extract it. Alright, so definitely, to be fair, I spent probably the first 5 minutes even before opening the game. But I've spent the last probably 10 minutes fumbling and figuring out the controls. So that is a huge red flag. That would be something where if I were watching somebody do it, I would let them keep going, and then after that I would completely reiterate the way that the UI is, the way I would eliminate that barrier of entry. I mean, because again, you'll get some gamers that don't hit any of this, that are just starting with a controller, and they go straight through, and you're like, that's great feedback, and that is good feedback. And then you get people like me who are dealing with this, and that's also good feedback. So that'll let you know. So I don't even know what's going on. So I think that it's totally glitching out. Can I click anything? All right, so I think it's glitching. Don't know what's happening. Let's base. Let me try this. So I was opening the shortcut. Let me see if I open up the actual application. See if it changes anything at all. If it alters my experience here. And believe me, I've been on the viewing end of stuff like this too, so I know feedback is extremely difficult to take sometimes, because you learn from negative feedback. You learn basically nothing from positive feedback. If you get positive feedback, you're like, oh, okay, cool, so I was right, and that's and you just keep going. You don't learn anything. You're like, oh, okay, cool, so I'll just do more of that. But if you get negative feedback, if you get something where the player is running into an issue like this, can't go through, then you instantly know, like, I have to go fix that and change that. I gotta, erect this structure and raise this structure to the ground and things like that. So you'll learn a lot more, definitely, just from watching me. I know that. Or don't, it's also your game. Do whatever you'd like. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my feedback. I really want to play this. I know that Charlie is awesome. His entire team is great, and anybody he works with is going to give me something cool. But I also do know the difficulty in implementing something complex like this. It's extremely difficult, and you don't know what roadblocks you're running into until people start running into their roadblocks. Because this is your baby, you know exactly how your baby works, you know what your baby needs, you know what all this stuff requires. So just from your end, you know exactly how to navigate it. But I'm a complete stranger. I'm somebody who's not intimate with it, I'm not close to it, so it's difficult. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This is super frustrating. So I'm at the point now where I feel like it's not my fault. I feel like I'm just opening the game. What happens if I go to full screen? Will it work on full screen? I want to get in there because I want to give you feedback on the actual game. I want to get through this to give you feedback on your actual content. but I can't access your content. Come on. I love the visuals. The music is great. Well, I don't know if the music's great because I'm not sure the actual tone of the game, but the music is giving me a tone. This is giving me an interesting sci-fi tone. Alright, come on, please go through. Oh man. Alright, well, I'm gonna give it one more try, and then I think 20 minutes on it is good enough to not be able to get through. How is this not working? Alright, let me delete the actual folder. And then re-extract it again. Okay. I do not want tortoise git. I'm going to extract to this. Again, I hope this is helpful to you. It's an interesting issue. UI issues are not unique to any given game. I mean, they're difficult for everybody. If you watch documentaries on Halo or The Last of Us, or watch actual like 2 or 3 hour documentaries on how AAA games have to deal with this, and it's the exact same thing. UI, the user experience, is bar none the most difficult thing to implement in any game, because again, you know what the controls are as the developer. You give it to a complete stranger and away we go. Like, that's where all the issues come up, because you know how the controls work, you know how everything works. So it's just very intimidating to give it to a stranger and have them go through it. But again, very, very helpful. I'm hoping this is helpful for everybody viewing it. So select monitor, let's just go with that. Alright, I re-extracted it. Let's see what happens. Again, it doesn't need installed, so please, for the love of God, work. Loading, goes all the way around. It's giving me information. It's actually loading. Cool, the information came up, like everything popped in, all the textures came in. And excuse me. So again, the game should do the work for me here. So, damn, man, this is really disappointing, because I really want to get through, and I don't know what's happening. Maybe if it detects a controller, everything works properly, or it has a higher chance to work properly and not break. I'm not sure. So I can't even get out of this properly also. So I wouldn't even double check. I would redo your entire UI. I would redo how all of this works. I would take notes from something like Halo. In the beginning of Halo 1, whenever you kind of wake up, you go through the main menu. It doesn't tell you anything about controls, but you go through and you kind of wake up from the cryo chamber, and the lead scientist walks up to you and says, "Look up, look down, look left, and look right." That is the game self-calibrating to you, because when the game says "look up," you'll either move the joystick directly up, or you'll move it in like flight controls, and you'll move it down to look up. Whatever you do there, the game immediately calibrates to your specifications. Something like that, I think, for all developers across the board, whether you're AAA or independent, that should be the epitome, the ideal that we're trying to get to. We're trying to ask the player questions and then calibrate the experience to the player. I know how difficult that is. I totally get it. But what we shouldn't do, the unideal, is to look out of the game completely for something else. We need to find that nice middle ground that is absolutely possible, given our developer size, given our scope, given all that stuff. So I'm very sorry I wasn't able to play the game. I really, really wanted to. I still really want to fix the UI, UX issues. I don't know why it wasn't letting me work. That might be just my system. I don't know. All other games work on my system. I'm not sure if there's anything going on with mine. I kept running into that bug. I can't actually get through. And the one time that I did, or maybe the one of the 2 times I realized that I did make it through to that actual main menu screen, I backed out to see. I mean, I know that was my bad, but I backed out to see if I was going to run into that bug again, and I just couldn't get back into it. So I understand that part was definitely my bad. I apologize as a developer, but as the player, you need to redo, I think, the UI or the UI UX and the entire control scheme. Don't redo the control scheme at all. I think the control scheme might work. Again, I haven't been able to play the game, but just redo how I'm introduced to it, because that's the big problem. In the game that we're making, Valley of Shadow, it's just basically you cast a light spell. That's it. You just cast a light spell. You left click and you cast a light spell. That was super easy to implement, but then we were running into issues where, well, let's put the light spell, let's have it so you can cast it into an object. So we were able to, okay, so you left click. Okay, so you just left click to put in an object, and then we were letting players, just strangers, just play it, and we realized how difficult it was just to get that to be elegant. That was really eye-opening to us. And then we have a bunch of other spells you can cast too, and that made us rethink the entire introduction to the casting of the spell, right? Like, do we put something in the game that shows the player, hey, left click to do this, right click to do that, or do we make it mechanical and kind of send them through a bunch of rooms that show them how to do that? And it's really up to you as a developer, but what I would say, number one, is to get that out of the website and get it into the game. Put the control in my hand. I know I'm harping on it a lot, but it's very, very important that game developers do it more and more. It's very important that you do it less and less on the website. There's nothing really more intimidating to me than looking on the website for the control scheme, because again, I have a pretty good idea that it's not going to be in the game. That's a red flag for me as a developer and frankly as a player. So I hope this was helpful in any way, shape, or form. Feel free to make any changes or no changes. It's totally your game, totally your baby. But definitely check out that glitch or that bug that was kind of stopping me from even getting into the main menu regularly, like consistently. I don't know what was up with that. Hopefully it was something that could be fixed on your end and it wasn't just a product of my system. So I'm really sorry I wasn't able to play, and I wish you the best of luck. I would love to get an updated version and to be able to play it again in the future, actually play it in the future for you. So thank you for letting me play. Thank you for letting everybody download and be able to get their hands on, and I wish you the best of luck and Godspeed. See ya.